Hey everyone, and welcome to Prune Insiders. I'm your amazing host, Michael Adams. Today I got a special girl on with me, my girlfriend. Please welcome Faith Davis.
Hello,
Hey Faith, how are you?
I'm good.
Now, for everyone who doesn't know, this is her second time being on the channel. The first time we talked about some of her complications with prune belly. This time we'll be talking about fasciitis and medically induced comas. So, why don't you start the story, Faith?
Back in 2016, I was not living in good conditions at the time, and I picked up some sort of bug bit me, possibly. We're not
What do you
so
mean?
sure.
What do you mean by you weren't living in good conditions?
I was in an abusive relationship with someone, and um, they weren't very tidy, and I tried to clean, and it didn't work out very well.
Ah, okay.
And so ended up getting some sort of bug bite. We think it could have been a spider, and he would not take me to the hospital right away. I ended up waiting about a day before I actually got to the hospital.
All
Um,
right.
Luckily my aunt took me, and I went to the ER, and there was a big cyst, and they said it needed to be drained.
Where was the
So
cyst?
it was on my upper abdomen below my breast.
All right.
And so they within 2 hours of being in the ER, I got put into surgery to drain it. And then I woke up from that surgery, and they said that they couldn't get all the drainage because there was so much. And so I was having a second surgery the next day. So I stayed overnight, and my parents came to meet me at the hospital and signed paperwork for me to go to the second surgery. And then I went into the second surgery thinking that they were just gonna finish draining it and that they weren't gonna do anything serious.
Why?
Well,
Why did
they
your parent? Why did your parents have to sign for the second surgery? Why couldn't you?
I didn't feel comfortable. Something was I knew something was off. So they went ahead my mom went ahead and signed it.
Okay.
So
So was it a surgery you didn't want then?
it was surgery I wanted, but like I wanted to make sure my parents were comfortable with it too.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I got put under anesthesia, and then I woke up at a different hospital, and the nurse told me that they had to take away one of my breasts because they found an infection, and they didn't know what the infection was, so it was sent to labs.
All right.
So they told me it took several surgeries to clean out the infection.
And was that before or after you were put into the medically induced coma?
That was after I was put into the induced coma.
All right. How did it feel being put into that coma?
Um, well, at first I didn't realize I was in a coma. I kept dreaming for a while, and then it uh, made it clear to me that I wasn't waking up. So
What kind of dreams?
Well, I was in a field and there was a tree, and my friends were there, and I was playing tag with them in the field, and I went under the tree for a while my friends went away, and it was like my mind was talking to the fruit on the tree.
Cool.
Yeah. And so,
And do you know why you were put into that medical coma?
um,
Or was it
because they had to transfer me while I was under anesthesia.
so so it's not something that was unexpected then. I'm trying to think how to word this.
It was unexpected. Like, they didn't realize they were going to take away my breast while they were doing the second surgery.
But I'm talking about the coma itself. It's not like they gave you anesthesia and you slipped into a induced coma. They actually knew they were putting you into one.
Right.
All right.
So, um, I so going back to the dream, I just like was mentally talking to the fruit on the tree as if it was some sort of like spirit, and it was like kind of telling me, do I want to stay here or do I want to go back home, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just remember after that I woke up, and I was really, at first I was really loopy. I uh I was on a I was on a tube in my mouth to breathe, so I couldn't talk.
So they
I was on
intubated you.
Yeah, I was on life support, and I had to write on a notepad to communicate with my parents, and I asked what happened, and my mom told me they took my breath, and then I asked, did I take the nipple, and they said yes, and they took over half of it, and so then I kind of like fell asleep for a while after that. Then I woke up again. That's when I saw the nurse, and they told me they took my breasts and everything. So I was asleep for a few more days while between waking up the first time, waking up the second time.
All right. And how long were you in that medically induced coma?
9 days.
All right. Tell us about some of the struggles with necrotizing fasciitis that you had. Like, what were some
Well,
of your fears and worries?
I thought I was gonna die because my blood was septic, and I had to be on this wound vac for a while to clean my blood. And the sponge had on the wound vac, it had silver in it, and it's made to clean the blood. So I had to be on that for a few months, but I ended up going home from the hospital after a month. But I had to relearn to walk and everything because of my firm belly.
And hmm, how was it learning to rewalk?
It was hard. Um, at first, I couldn't even bring myself up out of bed. So I've I've tried using a walker most of the time, and I had physical therapy where I did different exercises and played a. They had like a couple games where you throw a ball at a target to see how good you are, and then you go up these stairs, up and down these little steps to get used to going down steps. I can't walk down steps anymore, hardly. I gotta walk a certain way down the steps.
All right. Um, so other than dying, what were some of your other fears and worries with the necrotizing fasciitis?
Uh, well, I was worried that I was not gonna end up getting reconstruction, which I got denied that. Um,
What do you mean by reconstruction?
getting my breast back for plastic surgery,
Oh,
I got denied because the surgeon thought it wasn't safe for me to have that surgery with my chronic lung disease and my Prune belly and everything.
all right. So, did the necrotizing fasciitis limit your life in any way?
Yeah, it put a setback on being able to work and being able to uh continue school if I wanted to for a while. But I am trying trying to look forward to starting school again soon.
Yeah, me too. I'm hoping to start in September.
Yeah.
So, what would you say was the hardest thing to deal with regarding the necrotizing fasciitis?
Um it was more of accepting it, like what woman doesn't want this, what woman wants wants to have a scar there.
Yeah, I know. To be fair, who wants a scar anywhere on their body?
Yeah, that's true.
So, what's some life lessons you've learned from the fasciitis? What good can you take out of it?
I've learned to accept myself more physically and that not give up on like fighting for your life, that sort of thing.
Right? And what was the hardest thing to deal with in regards to the medically induced coma?
Um, that's a hard question. I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of stuck.
All right, let me ask a different one then. What good could you take out of that medically induced coma and learn from?
To not worry when you're in a coma, because in a coma you can't really do anything about it. And so like just take like a spiritual break, I guess you could say.
All right, is there any more to the story?
Yes. I was home about a month after being in the hospital, and then I had bandage changes for about 3.5 months. And
How
my
often did
last
you have how often did you have to get those bandages changed?
like every other day, and they were
Oh wow.
painful. Yeah,
Yeah, that's shocking.
and where the cyst was, the hole was 3 inches deep. So I had a big scar there on my belly, and then I have a couple scars on my breast from where they amputated it.
All right. All right, so why don't we continue with the story?
Okay. So being home, getting these bandage changes, I would get to know my nurses. It took a little while for to clean everything and to uh wash up and everything there, and I know like one of my nurses told me that my story should be on like a Lifetime movie because of the whole situation with my ex was really, it was horrible. I mean, I know this video is supposed to be about the necrotizing fasciitis, but like the whole situation I went through for several months leading up to that was just literally something out of a movie. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, what's leading up to it is technically part of it too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you didn't just get that out of nowhere. So
Yeah,
in a,
it was
so in a,
actually it's kind of like a blessing because like I had no way of escaping him, and he was a really abusive person, and he kind of like trapped me from in the situation I was in.
what do you what do you mean by that?
Um, well, uh, he basically made it so I couldn't contact my family and everything, and it was bad. And he literally locked me in a room for a few days, and yeah, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. Why don't we continue the story?
Well, my last bandage change was on my actual birthday. I turned 23 at the time. And so that was like one of the best birthday presents ever because I was so done with all the bandage changes.
And then you said you got to know your nurse is really good, right?
Yeah, her name is Brittany. She she was just like so kind and understanding, and she was kind of like a friend.
All right. Yeah, because I actually just got out of the hospital as well due to a blood infection. And no, from my life, what I've learned is nurses are a lot nicer than doctors. And in this last day, I just gotta say, everything, even the doctors, were on point. I loved the doctors who were taking care of me, Jennifer Clark, Dr. Aarons, and I can't remember the other one's name. I loved my nurses. My favorite one was actually a male nurse I had, Steven, who just knew how to calm people down and talk to them when they're getting ready to have a big procedure. Just Inspira Hospital did absolutely amazing with my care for those 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I figured I would put that out there so other people know how good this hospital is compared to, say, well, I can't even name another name because I don't want to get sued, but an, let's just say the number two children's hospital in the country.
right.
Look it up because I'm not saying the name.
I guess like the hardest part of the whole thing was um being in the hospital because I couldn't be in contact with my aunt, but like there were some situations where I had to get a hold of a phone because they took my phone away. They had me on lockdown
Why is that?
because my ex was calling every hospital in Michigan to try to find me, and I was in Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah, because he wondered when I was coming home and everything, and he didn't even know I got induced in a coma and stuff like that. He thought I just ran away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But there was one time I got a hold of a phone while in the hospital for one of the nurses because my mom was heading over there to get some of my medical supplies with my dad, and they actually got escorted by the police to make sure everything was going to be okay. And I knew he was really upset with my mom a lot because of certain things, but um he had a gun in the house, and you know I called and I told him do not get that gun out. I had to tell him that.
Okay, now my question is, did he ever try to hurt you with that gun?
No, but he did almost end up hurting my mom with a baseball bat.
Wow. All right, why don't we continue the story a little bit?
All right, what do you want to know?
Um, hmm, what type of doctors took care of you while you were in the hospital?
I mainly saw the kidney doctor because my kidneys were shutting down and I was on dialysis for a while. And I seen there was a pediatric doctor I had before that came to visit me and asked me how I was. And then there was a new doctor. Her name was Dr. Wings. She tried to talk to me about domestic violence and stuff like that, and the hospital wanted to sue my ex, and they wanted me to press charges on him, and I was just so done with everything with what was going on. I didn't do it.
All right. Now let's reverse a little bit. You said you were on dialysis. What was that for? I mean, I know it's for kidneys failing, but I remember you telling me before you've never had a transplant. So what was the dialysis for?
My kidneys were in shutdown mode. They were doing it to revive my kidneys.
And did it work?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now that's actually something I've never had to go on through, even though I've had two kidney transplants. I was lucky enough to get one off the donor list when I was 3 years old, and then my mom donated me one when I was 12 years old.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So my question is, since I've never had dialysis, what does it feel like going through dialysis?
You don't feel anything. They put my catheters and stuff in me while I was in the coma, so they had to surgically put them in my groin. They made like a
Ooh,
little slit in my groin and put it in,
did
and
that hurt?
so I didn't feel it until they took it out, and then it hurt.
Yeah, I figured anything going through your groin is gonna hurt.
Yeah.
All right, is there any more to the story?
Uh. Well. I had physical therapy at home for a while. Um. I ended up losing a lot of weight at that time because of, well, the abuse I went through. I wasn't eating like I was supposed to.
Uh,
And then but I was on a high protein diet to help uh cut, because my breast at the time was healing from the inside out. So it was an open wound. And so I had another open wound where the cyst was. And so, but that diet I had to be on for about three and a half months until they closed up on their own.
all right. And how many surgeries would you say you've had between when you got the fasciitis to when you got out of the coma?
I think I had about 3 or 4.
And I'm assuming your parents signed for every one of those since you were unable to.
Yep.
All right. Hmm. Fine. I got. Is there any more to the story?
Um, Not really, but one of the things I get to do since I lost my breath is I get to do Relay for Life with some other cancer survivors, even though I didn't have cancer. The fact that they took my breath away is something that they accepted of me.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we're about to wrap things up here. Is there anything else you want to say?
Um, no, I think I'm okay.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank Faith once again for coming on, and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment anything that can help this channel grow so we can bring more awareness to more rare diseases, especially prune belly syndrome in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.